How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan, or unknown Koder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And as always, if you guys do want access to the private repository for this project, what you need to go ahead and do is subscribe to the repository to your membership of the channel. And that will go ahead and unlock you a form where you can go ahead and request access to this repository or any other private repository that I may have at the time. Now, that being said, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Today should be the final primary episode surrounding this messages page. And the last thing that we need to go ahead and work on is be able to search direct messages. So we need to go ahead and make this component where we can see all this stuff and then actually be able to kind of do a pseudo search. Basically, all we're going to be able to do is just search through like conversation names and then search through the messages. So I need to make some new conversations. I need to make some random messages and stuff like that. But with that being said, y'all, let's go and hop into the code to get to work and then see what we get to today. So back in here, we need to go ahead and create a skeleton component for this guy. Go and open this up. Let's go ahead and close out some of the stuff we worked on in the previous episodes. Go into our messaging components, and it's going to be message list. And then this is going to be search results / message list, and then search results.tsx. Let's go and also say message list and then search results.css. Hop into the tsx here, go and import React from React. We'll also go ahead and import our / and then this is our message list search results.css. We need an interface, but we'll do that in a second. So let's first just say export const message list and then search results is a react.fc, set by arrow function, and then we'll go ahead and return a div class name equal to message list list search results. And then up here, let's go and deal with our interface. So we're gonna say interface, and then here we have our message list search results props. Inside our props, we'll go ahead and have the search content that we're searching for. This will be a string, and then we're going to have a close search, which is going to go ahead and be an arrow function that returns void and doesn't take anything in. Let's go ahead and bring this into our props area here. So we're going to go ahead and say our message list search results. I don't know why it's not popping up props, but it is what it is. If I could type, go ahead and break this apart, search content, and then close search. Let's see what's going down with this. Did I spell something wrong? Message list search results props. Copy this, and then, oh, it's because I don't need to pass it inside of an object. What am I doing? That's better. And now we do need to make sure that we spell search content properly. So this component is going to be pretty involved and pretty large. So this might be a little bit of a longer episode. So just bear with me here. We're going to try to get through this as best as possible and then try to test it as best as possible. We're not going to perfectly test it, but it is what it is. So in here, we're also going to go ahead and have another interface called message and then search results, which is going to extend the message interface from our material UI. And then here, this is going to go and say conversation ID and number. So this is just going to make our life a little bit easier whenever we click on one of these, I'm pretty sure. Let's go ahead and bring in our conversation from our state. So equal to use selector, and then we're going to say state root state, and this is going to say state.conversation or state.message actually. And then we need to filter these. So const and then filtered conversations is equal to, we're going to use the use memo here, and then inside the use memo, let's go and set up the function, and we're going to go ahead and watch for, let's see here, I guess we're not watching for anything. I thought we did, maybe, oh, I guess we don't have to for use memo. So in use memo, we're going to say const and then included conversations is equal to conversations.filter, and then here we're going to have conversation and then an arrow function, and here we're going to go and say const transformed, and then this is going to be search content is equal to search content.to lowercase. So we're going to go ahead and just transform that all to lowercase. Const name includes, and then search content is going to be equal to conversation question mark And I think we double check to make sure conversation exists or something, because this is not happy with us. Conversation.conversation name question mark, and then this is going to be dot to lower case, and then we're going to say dot includes the search content. And then let's see what's going down with this. Yeah, I broke something here. So equal to use memo. Is it because we're not returning anything? Let's just go ahead and return true for now out of this guy. Return, let's see here. Return true. Okay, I don't know what's going down with this. Const filter conversations is equal to use memo. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this real quick and see if use memo still mad us. Const filter conversations. Oh, you know what? It's because, no, I didn't scroll far enough down. We do need this search content in here. I thought I was going crazy, but no, it's because I wasn't far enough down on the page to see what's going on. Okay, so conversations. So I think we actually want to import conversations with an S here instead of conversation, and that fixes that. Okay, so a little bit of debugging here. We're breaking things. So now we have our const name includes, and then we're gonna go ahead and say const, and then conversation, and then user name includes search content. So we're also gonna search by that. So conversation dot, and then here we're gonna say conversation users, and then we're gonna go ahead and say dot sum, and this is getting fun. We're gonna go and pass in user. We're gonna say user, and then here I got user name dot to lowercase, and then dot includes, includes, and then we're gonna go ahead and pass in that transformed search content, which is like basically just to lowercase. And then here, instead of returning true, we're gonna go ahead and return our name includes search content, or our conversation, if I could type, conversation username include search content. So that'll go ahead and filter out those for us. And then we're gonna go ahead and return, and here we're gonna have some fun. So I have a div class name equal to, and then this is a message list dash, and then search dash results dash result dash container. And here we're gonna go and have a p for the class name equal to message list, and then search results, and then here this one's going to be title. Inside the title we'll go ahead and have conversations. Below here we have a div with a class name equal to, and then this is a message dash list, and then search, I could type search dash results dash, and then here conversation dash content, conversations dash content. We're going to search content is equal to an empty string, and then question mark. So if it's equal to an empty string, we're basically just going to have a fragment. Go ahead and close this. Let's also go ahead and just do another fragment like so. So if it's an empty string, we're going to go ahead and say conversations.map, and then we're just going to go ahead and map through all the conversation, and do an arrow function. And here we're just going to go ahead and return an object, and this is going to go ahead and be a message search result, and then conversation card. And maybe we have the time to do all this today, maybe we don't, I don't know. And then otherwise we're going to go ahead and do included conversations dot map, and then map through each conversation. And then here once again, if I could type properly, I'm sorry y'all, then in here once again we'll return, and then we're just going to go ahead and return a message search result, and then conversation card. So we need to go ahead and create that. Obviously we'll do that in a second, but basically the logic here is saying that if we don't have any search results or we haven't started searching yet, we're just going to go and display all the conversations. Then as we start searching, we'll start narrowing it down. So that's basically everything inside this. And then we also need to go ahead and deal with filtering the messages. So this is just whenever we search for conversations, but now we also need to go ahead and deal with searching for messages as well. So const filtered messages is going to be equal to use memo as well. And then here let's go ahead and do our arrow function, and then here we're also going to watch for search result or search content again. So inside of here we need to do something very similar. So const all messages is equal to a message array, And let's go ahead and set this equal to an empty array. And we need to go ahead and get all the messages from all our conversations. So basically, let's do a double loop. Unfortunately, const messages is equal to conversations.map. We're going to go ahead and map through each conversation. And then here, we're going to go ahead and say return conversations.conversation message. Conversation.conversation message dot, and then map. We're going to go ahead and map through each message. And then here, we're going to go ahead and say return ... message. Here, we're also going to go and say conversation ID is going to go ahead and be conversation.conversation ID. So we can go ahead and have that. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is once again, we're going to go ahead and continue going through this. And then we're going to say messages.for each. And I don't think this should be a message array. I think this should be like a, what's it called? Something else, but whatever. So messages, it should be the interface that we created above. Messages.for each message array. We'll see if there's an issue here. So now we're going to go through each array and then message array dot for each again, and then for each message. So let's make sure we do this right. Each message, we're going to go ahead and say all messages dot push. So I'm fairly certain this is going to break everything, but maybe it won't. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure instead of message, this is supposed to be message. What do we call this? Let me go back up here. So I think this is supposed to be our message search result. That's fine, I think. I think this would be supposed to be a message search results instead. I don't know why that part's mad at me. But here, like what we're returning here is actually something different. And let's see here, be message, we can return ... message. I don't know what this is mad at me about, probably because I did this wrong like that. Okay, now why are we mad? Now we're good. Okay, cool. So there's that part. Now we need to go ahead and actually filter these guys. So we have literally a massive list of just all the messages throughout all the conversations. Now we're going to say const included messages is equal to all messages dot filter, and then here we're going to go ahead and say message. And then we're going to say message.message text.to lowercase. And then we're going to go ahead and say .includes. And then here we're going to go ahead and say the search, if I could type, content.to lowercase. I probably should have done like a thing there, but it is what it is. A function, not a function, a variable that just transformed that for us. We're going to slice 13 of them. So now that's fine. And again, why are we being mad ... message? I don't understand what your problem is. So message text .to lowercase, all messages .filter, and all messages is a message. So I don't know why this is being mad at me other than just to be annoying. This extends message comes from a global interface. Somehow one from material I got introduced. I don't know what was going down with that. And then message, we might have to say this is a message like so. Don't know what the dealio is here. Okay, there we go. I don't know, like this is being weird, but we got that going. Now we can go ahead and return the actual component. Like I said, this is pretty messy. Div class name equal to, and this is message list, list search result dash results dash, and then result container again. Inside the result container, we have p, the class name, equal to message list search results dash title. Here, this is going to go ahead and say messages. Let's come below the messages, have a div class name equal to, and then this is going to be message list dash, and then here search results dash, and then conversations content. We're just renaming this or reusing this. Then we're going to say included messages dot map through each message, and go ahead and do one of these. So here we're going to say let post content equal to convert post content to elements. We're going to say message dot message text, and then we're going to go ahead and say post. Here we're going to go and say let message elements equal to convert elements to message text. Have our post content, post content, and then conversation, and then we're going to say const conversation is equal to conversations.filter. We're going to go ahead and filter conversation dot, and then do like this, and then conversation ID is equal to message.conversation ID, and then here 0. There should only be 1 here, and then finally we'll go ahead and return, and then inside the return we'll have a message conversation card. Inside the conversation card, I'll have a conversation is equal to the conversation we just selected. We're gonna have a custom text content is equal to the message elements, and we're gonna display options equal to false. And finally, we're gonna have a custom click handler, which is gonna go ahead and equal to close search. And we can probably go ahead and clean this up a little bit. So let's just make it look a little bit prettier. Do that, do one of these, and then do one of these, and then finally clean this up and clean this up. So now we need to come inside of our search results and actually clean this up. So here, let's just open this guy, and instead of curly braces, filtered conversations, like so. We're gonna say search content maybe is greater, or dot length is greater than 1. So if we have typed anything like more than 1, we're gonna go ahead and say and then filtered messages, like so. And that is that. Got pretty crazy there. I don't know why messages was fighting me so bad, but hopefully everything is working. And then message is fighting me again, brother. What is wrong with you? This message is just gonna be a pain in the ass, I guess. Cannot find message. Let me just double check this one last time to see if I'm doing something wrong. Like, I'm just gonna copy paste real quick because this is really annoying the heck out of me. Let me go ahead and copy this. Let me go ahead and highlight this, paste it in. Literally the same. I don't know what I changed there, but okay. If you can spot the difference, great. So now we have CSS to do, and then we also need to go ahead and create that results conversation card and put that in there as well. Then we need to go ahead and like create some messages and stuff like that just to like randomly search. But let's go and hop into the CSS for this bad boy and get that going. So in our search results, let's say message list, and then search results. I'm really hoping this is not another situation where I'm missing all of the CSS, because the CSS is pretty slim in here. Width is 100%. We're going to go ahead and say height is display, or actually not display, fit content. There we go. And then we'll display flex this. Go ahead and flex direction in the column. And then we'll go ahead and justify content and the flex dash start, and align items in the flex dash start. And I think that looks good. Next, we'll have our message list search results dash result container. Inside here, we'll say padding is 8px. We're gonna go ahead and say width is 100%, and then we'll have a height of fit dash content. Here we'll display flex this. Once again, we're gonna go ahead and say flex direction in the column, and a justify content in the flex start, and then align items is going to be flex start as well. Then we'll have our title, message list search results title. Inside our title, margin will be 0. Our padding, if I could type padding right, padding is going to be 0 and then 8px. We're going to have a font font dash size, and this is going to be 14px, and a font weight of 600 or 500, and then a color of pound 657786. Now this search results is something that Twitter changed in between me starting and now, so it's not going to look exactly the same, but we can't do anything about it. List search results dash conversations dash content. And here we're going to go ahead and say width is 100%. Let's go ahead and say display flex. We'll justify content in the flex start. We'll align items in the center, and then we'll have a flex dash wrap of wrap. I'll fix that in a second. And then a gap of 10px. Go ahead and do one of these. Now I'm curious to see how bad this looks, so let's go and hop into the message list and actually throw this in. So in our message list, we should have a skeleton search results container right here. Let's go ahead and do one of these, and then do one of these, And then let's go ahead and first import it. And then we need to go ahead and add the missing attributes, I'm sure. Let me go ahead and find what we actually put in this real quick. Let me hop on GitHub. It's not in my actual code, of course. So here, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and have a search content, which is going to be equal to that search content that we have. And then close search. It's going to go ahead and just be equal to toggle searching. Like so. Okay, hit save, and then let's go ahead and open this up and make sure it's looking okay at the least. I don't see any errors so far, so that's a good start. We click on search, we have our conversation results card, and then the thing is we don't have any messages. So like if we put Rick, it's going to pop up, but we don't have anything in messages, so it should just be empty. So we go ahead and come back here, and let's just go ahead and create another one. Let's go ahead and just make one with like summer in DMs, and then let's go ahead and make one, whoops, go back. And let's go ahead and make one with like, let's see, we need one like without Morty. I guess we can just do Morty really quick by himself. Okay, and then if we go ahead and say Morty, and let's say what's up, and then Morty, like so, we can search for that, and we can just say like, yo, in here, and then Rick and Morty, we can say like when's the get together or something. Okay, there we go. So now we can kind of like search through those. So like if we go into search, like get, and we can see that the messages are showing up already, so it looks good. And then if we be like yo, that pops up, and then if we put like summer, that doesn't show up, and so on and so forth. So it's looking good. So now obviously we just need to go ahead and set it up so that the conversations like show summer here, and then we'll be good to go. So let's go and hop back into the code and create that new component for the conversation search results card, and we can go ahead and start displaying that there. Back in our code, let's open up our Explorer. Let's go into our messaging components. We're going to say message, whoops, search, and then results, and this one's going to be conversation card slash message search results, and then conversation card.tsx. Go ahead and whoopsie daisies, I broke everything. Cool. Let's try this again. I absolutely scuffed everything somehow. So now our message search results, and then conversation card.css. Okay, let's hop in here. We'll go ahead and import our React from, and then React. So import our dot slash, and then message search results, and then conversation, and then card.css. Let's go ahead and export const, export const, and then message search results, and then conversation card is a react.fc. We will need to set up some props in a second, so we'll do that. And then here or return, inside the return of a div with a class name equal to message dash search dash results dash conversation card. Let's go ahead and deal with our props. So up here, we'll go ahead and say interface message search results, and then conversation card props. Inside, we'll go ahead and say conversation is a conversation, and then we'll go ahead and say that the close search is equal to an arrow function that returns void. We also need to go ahead and close out of the search whenever we click on this guy. Let's come in here. We'll go ahead and have a message search results conversation card props, and we'll go ahead and bring in our conversation, and we'll bring in our close search. Maybe. There we go. Looks good. So now in here, let's go ahead and bring in some state. So we'll have our const, and then logged in is equal to a use selector. And then here we'll have our state, root state. And we'll go ahead and say state dot, and then user, not logged in, state.user. And then we'll say const dispatch. Dispatch is an app dispatch equal to, we'll bring in our use dispatch like so. And then finally, we'll say const, and then filtered conversation users, and set, make sure we spell filtered right. Here we go, set and filtered conversation users is equal to use state. This is going to go ahead and be a user array. Make sure it comes from our global interfaces, terrific, and then empty array. Let's go and say use effect. And then here we're going to go ahead and set up an arrow function that's going to go ahead and watch for logged in the change, for the conversation to change, for conversation.conversation users length to change. So if a user is added or deleted, if we have logged in, if this is the case, we're going to say set filtered conversation users, use an arrow function here, and then here we're going to go ahead and return conversation users filter, and then here u, and then u.user ID is not equal to our logged in.user ID. We don't want to include ourselves in there, obviously. So there we go. Now let's go ahead and do a conversation clicked. So const conversation clicked is going to go ahead and equal to eReact.mouse event. Here we're going to go ahead and say HTML div element and open this up. So if we click on the conversation, we're going to stop e.stop propagation. We're going to go ahead and dispatch, and we're going to go ahead and dispatch a select conversation. Maybe if I can type properly. Just going to go ahead and pass in that conversation. We're also going to go ahead and say close search and manually close out of that search. And then if for some reason our filtered conversation users length is equal to 0, then we're going to go ahead and return null somehow. That should never happen, but just in case. Now we have our message results conversation card. Where on click, if we click it, we're going to go and say conversation clicked like so, and then we're going to come inside here and we're going to have a message conversation picture, which I believe we had to do a little bit of work on, but let's go and say message conversation picture like so. Here the users are going to equal to our conversation users conversation, why can I not see this, users, it's probably, it's because it's conversation users length greater than 2 question mark. We're going to say conversation dot, and then conversation users colon filtered. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. So if it's greater than 2, I think this is supposed to be less than 2, I believe. So this is supposed to say if it's less than 2. So if there's only one person in that filtered, no, greater than 2, I think. But we still need to use the filtered conversation users. That's why I'm confused about this. I don't know how I messed this up. I guess you're supposed to include yourself if it's greater than 2. Maybe that makes sense. But we're gonna go ahead and do that and make sure filtered conversation users is fine. We'll just see what happens there. And then the conversation picture is going to equal to conversation picture, which I realized they never give us an option to actually import that. So I guess that's just never going to happen. And then 52. And I'm pretty sure we need to update something here. So users is not happy. So let's see what's going down with this. User or something is not an option because this should be filtered with an ED. Let's go ahead and make sure we do that. Filtered conversation users, and yeah, size doesn't exist, so we need to go and update that, but we'll deal with that in a second. The class name equal to, and this is going to be message search results dash conversation card, and then name. So here we're going to go ahead and say generate, and then conversation name, which is a function, and then here we're going to say filtered conversation users, conversation name, like so. Then we're going to come outside this P. We're going to have another P, the class name equal to message search results conversation card, and then this one is going to be people. And here, this is probably where we're actually using our filtered conversation users, and then dot length is less than 2 question mark. So if this is the case, we're going to have a set of fragments like so. It's going to say at, and then $ curly brace, filtered conversation users, and then we're going to go say 0.username. Otherwise, we're going to have a set of curly braces again, say conversation conversation users, dot length, and then people, people, like so. Okay, and now obviously the size is broken because we need to go ahead and add this in. Let's go ahead and open up the conversation picture, and this says it's supposed to be a string, but this one we have a number, so hopefully that's not an issue. But let's go ahead and just open up that conversation picture real quick. So now in here we're gonna go ahead and bring in size as well. So we have our picture, and then we're gonna go ahead and bring in size, size, which is a string. I don't know why I put this as a string. Who knows, my mind's an enigma. But we'll go ahead and bring in string as well. And then at the top, we're gonna go ahead and say const, and this is gonna be picture, and then size properties is equal to size question mark. So if we have a size, we're gonna set height equal to backticks $, curly brace, size px. We're gonna set the width equal to backticks $, curly brace, and then size px, like so. Otherwise, we're gonna set it to an empty string. We need to also say const, and this is fun, const pfp, and then background size is equal to size question mark. If this is the case, we're going to say background size backticks, and then $ curly brace size px, and then space $ curly brace size px. We're getting closer to being done, I promise y'all. So now inside the style, we need to have a little bit of fun. So inside generate PFP, this one right here, in the style, we're gonna go ahead and say ... and this is gonna be PFP background size, comma, and then background image, so on and so forth. So I think that's the only thing we changed there. And then here, once again, we need to do the same exact thing inside the style. The ... PFP, and then background size, comma. So we'll go and break that apart. It'll be either an empty object or have something there. And then we need to go ahead, and I don't know where we even actually deal with the picture size, but I broke this, so that's also awesome. Let's see what's going on with this. Expected a colon. Oh, let me make sure we fix this. Do this, and then empty, like so. That's better. Okay, so now inside this div here, we're gonna go ahead and pass in a style. So style equal to, and then we're just going to go ahead and say picture size properties, and then same thing in here, we're going to say ... and then PFP background size, and then break apart that and add it there. And I believe that should be everything. There's a good chance it's not everything and I just broke everything, but let's just go ahead and check this message search results conversation card, make sure it's working, and then we'll go ahead and finish up the CSS for it. So now size is still mad at us because this is supposed to be a string. I don't know how some of these things got through earlier, because obviously that should have been an issue earlier, but it doesn't matter if this is a string or a number, it's still going to get interpolated the same exact way. So let's go ahead and hop into the CSS for this component and set up the few classes we have. Then here, let's go and say .message search results, and then we'll have our conversation card. Hopefully I typed everything properly. Width is going to be 100% on this one. The height is going to go ahead and be 150. Doesn't make very much sense. Well, actually, I guess width might be, now I do have px on this. I don't know why. We'll see how that looks. Padding is going to go ahead and be 16 px and then 0. Then we're going to go ahead and display flex this guy, display flex. We're going to go ahead and have a flex dash direction. And this is going to be column. Next, we'll go ahead and justify content and the flex dash start. I broke something again, that's fine. Align items in the center, and then a row dash gap on this of 8px. We're going to go and have a border of none, but then a border radius of 12px. Let's go ahead and fix this. I don't know what's going on with our IntelliSense. Message search results conversation card hover. Inside the hover, cursor will be pointer, and our background dash color will be RGBA 0, 0, point, and then 1 for this one of our message results card. And then this one is going to be dash name. Inside of dash name, set the margin to 0, the padding to 0, and then font dash size is going to be 14px. We're going to have a font dash weight of like 500. And then we're going to word wrap this. We're going to break word. We're going to go ahead and add a word dash break on this. Once again, a break all. And then finally, we're going to say text align. And then this is going to go ahead and be center. Next, we're going to say dot message dash search results conversation card dash people. Inside people, margin once again is going to be 0. We're going to set padding once again to 0, and then font dash size be 13 px. We'll go ahead and have a font dash weight. This one will be 400, and then a color of pound 657786, and then a text dash overflow of ellipsis. I think this one we actually did get to work, which is terrific. I'm going to go ahead and throw this into our search results and see what it looks like. Now we can go ahead and come down here. So now we have this message search results conversation card. Go ahead and do this. Let's go and import it. Of course, not what I want to do, but whatever. Can you import this, please? No, I love that. Oops, because I typoed. There we go. And then this guy is going to have our conversation is equal to the conversation. And we're going to have our close search is going to be equal to close search. We can go ahead and copy this again, and we're almost done here. Let's go ahead and copy this. Go ahead and paste it down here. Go and paste it in here like so. And save that. And then in theory, I'm sure we probably typoed something or broke something, but in theory this should be everything for our messages page. Now I'm pretty sad because originally you could add profile pictures or message pictures. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, there wasn't an option to do that anymore. But let's just go and take a look at what this looks like. And then this will go ahead and basically wrap up our messages page. Be ready to start working on, I believe, communities or something. The conversations, I think what they do is they're supposed to go side by side. So I don't know why we're only getting one conversation here. Let's go and refresh this. So we go on search, there we go. And this is what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to go side by side. Now if we go ahead and search for summer, obviously you see that. Go ahead and hit yo, you see that. Go ahead and say, if we say Mort, say what's up Morty, we can see these two. That's looking good. Clear the search out. That didn't quite do what I wanted it to, so I might need to look into that as like a follow-up, because whenever we clear that search, it should also clear the search content as well, I would think, but maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure it's going down with that, but everything else is looking good. I might do that, take a look into that in the next episode, but I am going to go ahead and call it here. I don't think this one was absolutely too long, but that basically wraps up everything I want to do inside of messages. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. If you do want to see where we started from absolute scratch to get to point now, there'll be a playlist coming right up in an end card and inside the description. With that being said, y'all, hope you have a great day. This has been Ethan or Koder, and I'll see you all in the next video.